So today we're going to take a look at this number one problem. Now, we boiled it down to a simplistic thing here, pumping all of our planner tasks into a folder within Outlook so that we can search by an ID number or whatever we want to search by. It doesn't really matter. And it come up and tell us specifically where that plan is, which plan that task is in, and which bucket that's in. And this all happens through a series of events that we're going to go through in this video. So I encourage you to use this as a reference guide that you can pull open at any time and set up your own environment. So stay tuned and let's jump right to this. Alrighty, so this is a book that I have yet to publish one of these days. It's several hundred pages now, but it gives all of the kind of tips and tricks on doing different things in the Power Platform. So just from a practical use perspective. And today we're going to really go over this one right here, extract data on a schedule to enable searching multiple planner environments and plans. So although we're only going to show from one tenant today, you could do this on multiple tenants. If you have multiple tenants that you have plans on, you could create this flow and have them all go into your Outlook box and be able to search on tasks within those different environments. So it's actually very convenient. So let's go ahead and start with the Power Flow itself. And I actually have this Power Flow. I don't always, sometimes I just have them in my documentation because they're on another environment. But today I actually have this one. So we're going to walk through it here and kind of show you over here as well. So here, this one I have running at 4:30 on Monday through Friday. You can set the recurrence up to be whatever you want. Remember, if you want to go on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the frequency is week. And then you go in and you select the days of the week you want it to run. Okay, just a little tip there. And this, again, scheduled flow, right? This is a scheduled flow on a schedule. So here, we're going to initialize this variable. As you see, not a whole lot of changes here. We're going to collect this information, pretty default stuff. No issues here. Task variable, we're going to initiate that. You can see that on both of these screens. And then here, we're going to initialize an empty array variable. Now, notice here that the types, notice you can have multiple types here. These types are all very specific. As you can see in this document here, you have a string, an object, and two arrays. So make sure you get the types right, because if you don't have the types right, it's not going to work. Okay, next thing we want to do is list the buckets. And so it's pretty simple. You just say where you want, to look for those tasks in which plan, and the plan ID is going to be the same here because we're going to list the buckets and list the tasks. So right there, we're just going to list that. Okay. And then here we're going to do a apply to each. So as you go down here, we're going to iterate through the bucket. Whoops. So this, remember, is an apply to each, but you'd start with this variable first, and you can see here on the right side, this is everything that you're doing. So this is just kind of an overview, and then we're going to drill into it here. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look under buckets for value name. Now notice here value name, it says right there, iterate through bucket name. You see that right there? This is iterate through bucket. So we're going to go there. So if we select this, we're going to find that value in here. But do you see how it says list tasks, list buckets, iterate through bucket? Do you see how they're different? The reason why they're different is because we're going to choose from those different areas. So again, got to stay alert on where you're choosing this information from. Okay, so let's go ahead and sorry about that. Oh, it's still up. Okay, so we would select one, we're done, and then we're going to put in the rest of this code, and you can see that right here. Then we're going to create another loop or apply to each right here to iterate through the tasks itself. Notice the value there is from list tasks, the body value. And I put that inside of this document. So again, if you need to, pause the video so you can collect this data, because it's really important that it's right. So let's take a look at this condition here we're creating. So we're creating a condition right there. And notice here that it says value ID. Now I'm going to move this over for just a moment so we get a little better view here. All right. So here we have value ID. Now we're going to click on there, and what we're going to look for, and you see in the documentation here, is it wants the value ID under iterate through bucket, and then the second one is iterate through tasks. So we can just type in value ID if we want, but do you see how it has list tasks and list buckets? Well, we already said which one we want. We want the one right here under iterate through, which is going to be down at the bottom. Okay, so right down in here. Okay, so we're going to select those from each of them. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and remember this value is under list tasks, and then we're going to go ahead and iterate through that task, and then this is the yes variable. So the yes variable is pretty simple. We're just going to pull all the data that we've set. We're going to update this variable. So remember, when you update, right, you can pick from the multiple ones, but here it's task details, as you see right here, and we're just going to go through there. We're going to append. Remember, this is append. That's a good point here. Let me see here. This is set the variable. Okay, we're going to set this task details, but this is append to an array variable. So when you look at this inside of here, if you add this action, for example, you're going to say append, and there it is right there. Do you see where it says to a string variable or to an array variable? That's the one that you want. Okay, so make sure that you do that. It's not just a normal update like you've been doing. It's an append to array variable. Okay, that we're going to have nothing under no, and then we're going to have the HTML. I'm sorry, I'm going kind of fast, so just kind of follow along and then pause the video when you need to catch up. But here we're going to continue. We're still within this outer loop. We're done with this inner loop. So let me close that. We're done with, where is it? Oops, the very top. We're done with this one. So now we're back into this iterate through bucket, create HTML table, and you can see here we're just pulling from the variable tasks. So you can see there, variables, tasks. That's the output that we're pulling from. And when you pull this up in here, it's going to be right there, tasks. Okay, and you see where it says variables. Okay, then we're going to reset the task with the empty array variable, and then and again it's right here. And then we're going to create. We're going to append the final one here, which is the body to send. Remember, that's a variable, and we're going to do that from the output from the create HTML table, which is right there. Okay, and you can see that right there. Then we're just going to put an address in for the send email, and away we go. We're going to put the addresses in. Now, here we're going to plug in this HTML code. So let's go ahead here, and you can see this. If I hold variables body to send, right, we did that right here, right, body to send, and we plugged it with all of the stuff from the HTML table. Okay, so there's different ways to do this. This is just a way to do it. But here, you put in the address, you put in task list space tasks, right? This is identifying what the task list is. There's a way to do this dynamically. We could actually pull the plan name, but I just put it in manually to make it easy for everybody. And then here, we just have the HTML code, and then we're going to plug this in here, the body to send variable. And you can see that here. So that's going to get us the list. That's going to get us the list that's inside of Outlook. Okay, so when we go to Outlook, that's going to get us the population of these lists. Notice I have tasks and I have personal. These are two different plans within Planner. So you can see here, okay, you can see the different buckets, okay, and they're formatted exactly the same. That's what we're sending here in this email message. All right, now we're going to need to create these folders. So to create these folders, we just do a right click here and say create folder. Now inside of this guide, it says task backup and task list. So that's what I've programmed it to. And on this tenant, I went with task archive and misspelled archive and put task search. So it doesn't really matter what you name the folders. I just wanted to show you that it doesn't matter as long as you know what they are, because you need to plug them together. All right. So once we create those folders, we need to do an Outlook rule. So let's go ahead and go on this email thread right here, and we're going to create an Outlook rule. We do that by doing a right click, going to advanced options, and selecting create rule. Now, once we are inside of this create rule, and we're right here under more options, by the way, we can just click on more options. We don't want all this stuff in here. We're going to change all of this. So we're just going to do that. And then this is what you're going to plug in right here. So you're going to plug in all of this information here and then hit save. So let's look at some of these. We're just going to, we're going to give it the name that it wants. And then here, the condition that we're looking for is the subject includes, and in this example, it's task list, right? Spelled exactly like that, space hyphen space. Now, why is that? Because when we were in here, we named the subject. So when you do these, all of them should be named the same. Task list, space hyphen space, and then the name of the plan, so that when you get over to, I can't show you the email box right now, but they'll all have this as a start, okay? And then what we need to do is move. And we're going to move all of those to Task Archive. So we're going to take them from the folder. I'm going to discard that. So we're going to take them from this folder, and we're going to move them over to this folder. Okay, so now this folder becomes full, but it doesn't delete them from here. Okay, to do that, we're going to go back to Power Automate. So let me just pause there real quick, and again, take a screenshot, stop the video. This is a great thing that you need to just fill in this information, and then all of your stuff will appear here as you need to. But the problem with this is, what happens if, you know, tomorrow I'm going to get these same lists in this same folder. So when I search, I'm going to be hitting the same list multiple times. And that's not right. I just want to hit it once. So I want to clean this out every day and move it over to here. Okay? So to do that, I need to create a Power Automate flow. So there are many ways to do these things. This is just the way I'm doing it because I think it's the easiest to explain. And we're going to walk through this Power Automate flow together. Okay? So we're not going to save any of those changes. We're going to go to flows here, and remember, we're going to do a new flow, and it is a scheduled cloud flow. Okay? And here we're just going to say move email, move task emails. Okay? And then we're just going to do it for once a week, and we're going to select here Monday through Fridays when I want it to happen. Okay? We're just going to hit create. Now, so we have the recurrence set, which is what this one happens to be running every week. We could do it every day, which is the example there, but it doesn't really matter. Now we're going to say get emails. Okay, so we're just going to type in get emails. There it is, version 3. Looks good. Now, we're going to go ahead and fetch our inbox. So see here, task. Now, I don't know what that is. It's a Power Automate error. So we'll see how it all works out, if it works or not. But here, see how I'm clicking on that folder? It's just looking at my Office 365 environment. It knows who I am when I sign in, and it's looking for me. So I want to take it from task list here. Now, I happen to use task search, so we're just going to click on task search. Okay, here it says task list. I'm using task search. Okay, now we're going to put right in here, we're going to say, where is it? Oh, advanced. There it is right there, top. So we're going to put in 25, which is right there for top. And then we're going to say for importance, any, and no. So those are just defaults. Okay. So we're good there. Looks good so far. So some of the connections are not authorized. Oh. All right. Well, we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to show you how to build it. And then you're just going to take my word for it that it works. To see what the deal is with that. Okay. So now let's just go ahead and create this apply to each loop. So that's a next step here. And we can do it one of two ways, but we could just type apply to each here and select it and build it. But I like to just do it from the first one here. So you could just say move email. Okay, right here. Boom. Okay, and now it wants me to sign in. Hold on one sec. Well, apparently my internet is flaking out and dropped out, so I apologize. So we're just going to go just to the list here. I think you get the idea. You have to be signed in, by the way. So once you sign in, this all works beautifully, by the way. So here, we're going to move the email. We're just going to search on we're just going to use the message ID. It's a default. It's pretty easy to find. And then we're going to target our folder. Now, this one happens to be task backup as a folder. And that's it. And then you get the end result. Then the end result is what we already showed here in Outlook, where you can search. You just click up here, make sure it says what you want there, and then you just click on 3489, for example, and boom, you can look down through here and it'll actually highlight 3489. Sometimes even when I go into here, I'll do a Control F and say 3489, and it brings me down there faster. So if I have a lot of tasks in a list, sometimes I do that as well. And I just use a Control F. Oh, you can't see it on your screen. But if you do Control F, it'll pop up and you can type that in. And that is it. I know that was very fast and furious to get through that. So this is a very, very easy way to collect information. Please subscribe for these code updates and these cookbooks that you can just get to work.